Well, folks, it's time for more custom cards, and this time around, we're taking a look at some Titan-themed cards. So some big, crazy legendaries in this one, as you can already see behind me. This video is sponsored by Keeps, which we'll talk about a little later. For now, let's go ahead and talk about Sargeras the Forger, a 9-mana legendary for Warrior from Kogedi. And big old 12/12. Titans should be big in general, I think. And Battlecry forge the highest cost minion and spell in your deck into a 10-mana weapon. And we have a great example here of that. This is the Blade of the Titan. It has forged Rattlegore, thereby taking Rattlegore's stats. So I think the stats of the minion determine the stats of the weapon. So it's a 9/9 weapon. And then it'll take the effect of the spell and turn it into a battle cry. And I haven't checked every warrior spell, but a number of these made sense as a battle cry. So in this case, you're going to get the Blade of the Titan added to your hand, it looks like, since it has a battle cry. It's not going to be automatically equipped. And thereby you're going to have a super strong turn 10 play with this giant weapon that also is going to cast a commencement for you. So, you know, in some way, you're sort of getting a 3-mana 9/9 weapon. And, you know, I think some people will be scared of the, 9/9 weapon. What? That's insane. That's just, enough to kill your opponent outright. And, yeah, absolutely it is. But also, this is a turn 9 and turn 10 play. They have to be absurd these days to make any sense in the current state of Hearthstone. The game is just so fast. Most decks are doing their thing and enacting their game plan by turn 8, by turn 9, right? So you're going to be playing a 12/12. They're going to be finishing the game out. So you have to have these really powerful plays that set you up for a win or a gigantic swing in a turn or two. So I don't certainly mind that this is a 9/9 at all. Plus weapons just, as a stat stick, have some susceptibility to weapon removal always. So having a big 9 attack weapon makes it worth it on that very first swing to make sure you're getting some damage, maybe even potential lethal damage. And I did want to include one other cool example of a weapon here. So I also made this one up. You can probably guess which two cards this is. This is the Darkness, a 20/20. So this would be a wild specific version. And keep in mind that means your deck would have to have a 4-mana minion at its highest cost, which is a cool check on how well Sargeras can work. Because you might draw the thing you really want to hit. You might have something weaker in there. So you have to build your deck in the right way. But this also has Brawl. So this could be an enormous board clear that opens up the way to deal 20 attack to your opponent's face. And God forbid you need the 20 durability here. I really doubt it. But if you do need to hit for 400 damage, this weapon allows that over the course of the game. So some real possible shenanigans here. I still don't actually think this would be broken at all in Wild, particularly in Wild where games can even be won faster. But I do like this card because Sargeras is all about being the forger for the Titans, making cool weapons and stuff. And this is an awesome way to, play in your deck and turn it into some awesome stuff. We've already seen that a lot in Warrior with things like Big Warrior playing out of your deck. And this fuses those worlds together, or forges those worlds together really nicely. So I think this is a super flavorful way to capture a Titan. And I love big, awesome cards like this. I think Titans need to feel big and amazing and epic, and that's exactly what Blade of the Titan delivers, because that's going to be a real memorable moment whenever you hit that 20/20 weapon. All right, so next up here we have Angus the Unmaker, a big 10-mana 10/10 Titan from KBS 1224. And it reads, after your opponent plays 6 cards in a turn, summon this minion wherever it is. So if this is in your deck or hand, doesn't matter if your opponent's playing 6 cards, you're getting this 10/10 on board for free. So this kind of takes the Rat Trap or Galloping Idiot model for those secrets, but bakes them into a card, which I think is actually really cool and could be a way to solve some of these spamming card decks where they just play through their entire hand all at once. Now they have a risk a little bit here of summoning a 10/10. I don't know if 6 cards is the right number. I obviously didn't go map that out and be like, oh, mages on average play 7 cards per turn or whatever, right? I don't know. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 6, maybe it's not. But balance could fix those problems. We're talking about ideas here. And I really think this is a cool idea. Maybe the punish is too big. Maybe it's not. Curious to hear all those balanced conversations in the comments below where you think this card would be most healthy. I feel like if Blizzard printed it, it'd probably be an 8/8, But hey, I'm cool with the 10-10 as well. Now, there's one other possible implication of this I think could be really cool. What if there was a more formal graveyard in Hearthstone, and this card was put in the graveyard, and then it could be resummoned from the graveyard a second time? Like if your opponent played 6 cards, summoned this, killed it, it put in the graveyard, they played 6 more cards, wherever it is could apply to the graveyard as well, and then get this back. So you'd be able to punish them multiple times, which I think would be a pretty cool extra bonus on this one. But either way, I love the idea of this card as a sort of tech or counter to a lot of the style of decks we're seeing right now. So that's for sure why I wanted to spotlight this one. All right, next up here is Alolan the Observer, not himself a Titan, of course, but certainly Titan themed, as was the demand for these videos. This one's from my crew. This is a 10 mana 12/12 for Mage. Mage is never going to play 10 mana cards, but hey, we can dream. And the battle cry reads, if you've spent 90 mana this game, presumably, not in a turn, although Mage can spend 90 mana worth of cards in a turn. Boom, we're just really hammering on Mage today. I don't know why. Anyway, destroy each hero's hand, deck, and battlefield. And I presume that means minions on the battlefield, not the battlefield itself, although functionally, what's the difference? Because you're taking your opponent totally out of the game to such an extent that perhaps this should say like just, you know, destroy your opponent. Although I guess technically there is a way to lose after playing Alolan, since he is destroying your own deck. If you have a really low health total, you play Alolan down, everything else gets destroyed. You're going to be hitting your opponent for 12 per turn once Alolan can attack, and they'll be taking fatigue damage, but you'll be taking fatigue damage as well because this is each hero. So, you know, if you had a low enough health total, you might die to your own fatigue before Alolan and fatigue kill your opponent. So that could be another way for your opponent to play around this a little bit and make sure it's not just an instant win, which is kind of cool. Like they put you low enough and Alolan's actually too risky for you to play in a way. That's fun. And again, just like before, I don't know if 90 mana is the right number. It feels like a lot to spend over the course of a game, so I'm sure it's fine. Again, feel free to discuss balance somewhere down there in the comments if you think this number is too big or too low. But I like the idea of building in a late game reward that demands you actually play the game traditionally, spend your mana traditionally, and then you have this enormous payoff if you do. And your opponent kind of has this clock as well where they're keeping it in mind, right? Where they know they need to do things or Alolan might destroy the game. But, you know, it's sitting in your hand. Maybe Mutanus can eat it, right? So it has counters built in for decks, but still has this cool late game reward for playing the game slowly, you know, staying alive, grinding it out, and then boom, Alolan's a cool win condition. All right, moving on to ANR the Lifebinder here from Nina. This is for Priest, 7 mana, 7/7, and battle cry for the rest of the game. Excess healing to your hero is converted to armor, and then also restore 10 health to your hero. So both some nice little healing right away, which could be good if you need to find a moment to play this. And then also this nice late game effect where you can get some armor out of your healing, which I guess again encourages, you know, longer grindier style games. There might be a bit of a theme here in these cards. Maybe I'm a tad biased towards the cards I'm choosing, but most of the cards submitted were big late game Titan bombs, right? So it makes sense. So, you know, I love this. Priest has always felt at a little bit of a deficit compared to other classes that can gain, you know, health above 30. There's been very few instances where they can fix that. And I think this would be a cool one. I almost wish this was lower cost so that you could squeeze it in earlier in a game and start stacking up that armor sooner. But there would still be matchups where this makes sense. You know, those grindier control decks, you have a moment to play this on 7. It might give you 10 armor right away if you're already at full health. And then, you know, your cards are actually going to have value in the late game. You can swing that renew and still gain 3 armor instead of, you know, being worried that you lost some healing and have to sit on that renew in hand forever. So yeah, this is a great fit for the character and a change that Priest, I'm sure, would love and would encourage a style of game we're not currently seeing in Hearthstone. That said, before we get into the rest of the cards, let's talk about our sponsor for this video. It's Keeps. Yeah, that's right. If you didn't know, 2 out of 3 guys will experience some kind of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35 years old. And the best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still got hair left. So, you know, I turned 35 in 6 months, so now for me. And the cool thing about Keeps is you don't have to go to a doctor's office. You can get it sent right to your door. Just talk to a doctor online, get the prescription, and they'll send the medication to you every 3 months, making it easy and awesome. So if you're noticing you're losing your hair, it's time to do something about it. For a limited time, you go to keeps.com/Regis for 50% off your first order. Just click that link in the description to get started. All right, next up here is another Argus the Unmaker. This one from Flavi. This is a 10 mana 2/2. What? A 10 mana 2/2 Titan? Yeah, but this effect is cool. Whenever a friendly minion dies, transfer all of its enchantments to Argus the Unmaker wherever it is. So whether this guy's stewing in your deck or in hand, anytime you have minions die, they're going to pass along their enchantments to him. So, you could potentially end up with an Argus here that's like enormously buffed from any sort of stat gains you're applying to your minions. It could have great effects as well, like Divine Shields and Rush, Life Steal, Taunt. You could give it a million different things depending on the deck and depending on how it's built, so that you've got this just enormous late game bomb. And I think that's really cool. I like the idea of this. It's a bit like the Paladin card. Trying to look it up, but I think it's Linessa Sunsorrow. Does that sound right? Or am I? Yep, that's it. Linessa Sunsorrow, right? But it's gaining the stats throughout the course of the game, as opposed to demanding exactly a specific kind of thing like friendly minion targeted spells. And of course, it's neutral as well, so it works across classes. So I guess in a way, this is another card that's like built up over the course of the game, and then you plop it down and you hope to win. Now, I don't know if this would be a refined singular win condition, but it could still be cool in something like a big warrior where you summon this out of your deck and it's already gained a bunch of stats and effects. I think that could be really cool. So I love cards like this, just big, crazy threats, and that's what Titans should be. So Argus is another cool way to build out that awesome threat. All right, next up we have a hero card here, and there really weren't too many hero cards submitted, which surprised me. This one's from Maneri, though. It's Dark Titan Sargeras, and 10 mana Warlock hero card. Can only be drawn last. So this guy's always tucked into the bottom of your deck, and the battle card reads, fill each player's deck with random demons. So there are 60 spots in a deck, so I guess this is going to dump 60 demons into your deck, and 50 or something into your opponents, depending on how many cards they have left. So both of you are probably going to be drawing demons almost every single turn. Your opponent might occasionally get a card, because it doesn't say replace, it says fill. So they might still get some of their cards on occasion, but they'll mostly be drawing demons. So you're going to kind of ruin the consistency of their deck, and you're going to give yourself functionally infinite resources, because games have a turn limit. You also have Command Legion here as the hero power at 2 mana. This chooses an enemy minion, and all friendly demons attack it. So you have this hero power here that makes you really good at dealing with your opponent's minions and their demons that you've given them, and makes your demons more immediate on board, basically. So the idea here is you play out all your cards, you do Warlock deck burn stuff, which Warlock's already good at and does, and instead of having like Tamsin Fatigue as a reward, you'd have this game state altering place where you both are playing down random demons as your reward, and hopefully you'd be able to use your hero power to just overwhelm your opponent. It would still be pretty crazy and random though, right? Because they could just get better demons than you, since they're going to be random demons. You might lose out half the time basically in a Sargeras battle, but because I don't know if this hero power is quite advantageous enough. It gives you initiative advantage, but doesn't really give you like stat or like direct advantage. It doesn't like make the minions immune when they attack or anything, right? So there's still going to be some randomness here deciding how this goes, but that's what makes it so fun and awesome, right? Is like, instead of having this just very decisive win condition with Blightborn Tamsin, you get this crazy game state, and your opponent is stuck playing this just wacky game, which I guess, in some ways people might hate, but I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool. I'd rather have a chance to win via random demons than just know I'm going to lose to Tamsin Fatigue damage. Now, would this be a competitive card in the current state of Hearthstone? No, I think you'd play Tamsin instead. It's just a better reward for the same style of gameplay, but would it be more fun? Would it be awesome? Yeah, of course. I would play this card all the freaking time. I think it'd be super sick and fun. It's another way to reward an empty deck. You could also squeeze this in with like a Niru, so that you have like an extra, empty deck reward you play, and then you play Dark Titan Sargeras. So you kind of got both these things going, right? So you can still find ways to get an advantage in this sort of game state. But I don't care how it works out. This card just is super fun and a cool idea. So Sign me up for Dark Titan Sargeras. Next up here is Norganon, Keeper of Magics from Magic Milk. How appropriate. This is a 6 mana 4/6 battlecry. Draw 3 spells. If they are all arcane, then you can cast them automatically. So this feels a little bit like dude whose name I forgot, which I'm definitely not looking up right now because I forgot his name. Sheldris Moontree. Sheldris Moontree, right, makes next 3 spells cast when drawn, but he's awful, right? Like, Sheldris is basically unplayable today. He's just too slow. You got to follow up and draw the cards. This is like a playable version of Sheldris Moontree, and obviously a very good one. I think this is kind of nuts, right? Because not only are you drawing 3 spells, you're potentially getting those 3 spells of mana for free as well if you build your deck for Arcane. Even if you didn't, though, just like drawing 3 spells, still quite a bit of card draw in a single card. Although, honestly, for Mage, this is probably not fast enough card draw, so that says a lot. But anyway, when you build this for an Arcane deck, it's like a Super Sheldris where you're not only getting the cast when drawn, basically, because you're going to cast them, you're also drawing them right away, and it's 6 mana instead of 8 mana, and the stats are basically the same as Sheldris. But that's what I think you would need to make this sort of effect work, which is kind of scary to think about. It's crazy, but that's just where we are today. So Norganon is a major power creep on a real card, but a realistic one in a way, a playable version. Plus, I like moving mages towards Arcane specifically. We have a lot of fire and frost synergy stuff so far, but not a ton of arcane. So this could be a big play towards like secrets, for instance. He could cast like 3 arcane secrets right off the bat. There's other, powerful arcane effects as well, like a Potion of Illusion, which could just give you another Norganon, which you could play for 1 mana and then, create a chain basically if he happens to hit your Potions of Illusion, or maybe you could even force that and do some crazy stuff. In wild format, I don't even know. The sky might be the limit. I haven't really looked. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about this one as a kind of like power crept version of Sheldris, because I think it highlighted what you need to make Sheldris a reasonably good card. And again, I think this would be a very powerful card for 6 mana, maybe too good, honestly, even in modern Hearthstone, but it's still closer to playable than Sheldris, and closer to a healthy card, I guess you'd say. Moving on here to A&R Gift of Life. Another one from Kogeti. This is a 6 mana 2/12 for Druid, and it reads, Battlecry, for the rest of the game, damage you take from fatigue restores life instead. So kind of a twist on like a Tamsin style card almost. Of course, Tamsin's not only working in fatigue, but she can. But instead of dealing that damage to your opponent, you just restore health instead. So basically, you would almost be rewarded for drawing through your entire deck, because at some point you could be healing like 30 plus health per turn from fatigue. And if your opponent, had a board like full of 2/2s or something, they're dealing 14 damage per turn, you could get yourself in a state where you're out healing their board, and they'd basically be locked out from killing you, because, unless they could kill their own minions or play bigger stuff, they wouldn't be able to outpace your fatigue healing. Which, I don't know, again, it's the same kind of card. That's what you guys submitted. I like them, but I can't help it. But it's kind of a neat game state. I would personally enjoy that, like forcing the opponent to concede, because you're just going to be healing so much from fatigue that they can never quite kill you. Also, Druid's another one of those decks that's good at drawing through their deck. We've seen a handful of different Druid decks that like to draw everything, maybe getting to like a Cthulhu win condition, right? You could have this as sort of a backup plan if you don't quite win, or maybe as your main goal to just draw a billion cards and use this to heal you. I'm thinking about like a Mill Druid in Wild with Cold Light Oracles, right? Just like burn through your opponent's stuff, make sure you have this so that you heal once you hit fatigue, instead of say like a Jade Idol, because Jade Idol. This would be a more fun way perhaps to reward that. Now, I don't know if this card would be any good, because there'd be so few matchups where it was actually relevant, right? Like the meta almost never supports getting to fatigue in a healthy way, and if you do, usually you just want to win instead of stall. So this is another card that's like, it's probably not very good technically. I don't know that this would be a competitively relevant card, but as a game state modifying card, as a fun card, again, I think it would be absolutely awesome. Sign me up for A&R here. All right, so that wraps it up for this custom card review. Next time around, I want you to design a start of game card, some kind of start of game effect. you think would be cool to see in Hearthstone, of course, you can submit those cards using the link down there in the description. Look forward to that. Also, another shout out for our sponsor, Keeps. Be sure to check them out in the description. Thanks much, as always, for watching, and until next time, game on.